Hello everyone and welcome to another fragrance review. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel for future videos and frequent giveaways by clicking the link down below. Today, I'm very happy to be sharing with you my thoughts on a fragrance from the house of Jimmy Choo, and this fragrance is simply called Jimmy Choo for Her. So this fragrance was released in February of 2011, and the perfumer for this fragrance is Olivier Polge. Now, Olivier Polge has done a lot for the fragrance industry in terms of both designer and niche. He has done very iconic fragrances such as this one. He has done La Vie est Belle by Lancôme. He has done Flower Bomb by Viktor and Rolf, Spice Bomb by Viktor and Rolf on the men's side. He has done Armani Code for women, and the entire exclusive collection for Thierry Mugler. So he has done many different fragrances, and he is to be credited for this one as well. Now, of course, Jimmy Choo is a company primarily for women. They do specialize in shoes and accessories, and it wasn't until 2011 when they decided to branch out into fragrances, and they did so by releasing this, which is their very first fragrance. So simply called Jimmy Choo for Her. I do want you to keep in mind though, I am reviewing the original version of the fragrance released in 2011. Since then they have released a parfum version, an eau de toilette version, and I believe even a couple other versions, with the most recent one I think being released this year in 2014. So I'm going to let you know what I think of the smell. But next up, let's take a look at the presentation for Jimmy Choo for Her. Jimmy Choo for Women is available in 3 different bottle sizes. You have the 1.3 ounce bottle, you have the 2 ounce bottle, which is the one that you see here in front of me, and then you also have the 3.4 ounce bottle. And this fragrance is available in 2 concentrations, eau de toilette and eau de parfum. So I do apologize, I don't have the box for this fragrance, but let's take a look at the bottle. So here's the bottle. I think this is a really nice design on the bottle actually. I know this is supposed to resemble Murano glass. To me, it's a little bit more evocative of Flower Bomb by Viktor and Rolf. Kind of looks like a grenade. You have this squarish cap up here at the top. You have Jimmy Choo written right below the atomizer in black letters in the neck of the bottle. And then over here at the very bottom, you have a sticker with some pertinent information like the size, the conversion, and the concentration, the serial number. And the cap comes off. It actually clicks into place very nicely, as you just heard, and the atomizer gives you a really nice distribution, and I think it sprays out enough juice relative to the concentration, and that has pretty much been the presentation for Jimmy Choo for Her. Now, when I first smelled this fragrance, I couldn't help but think to myself, how would I classify this fragrance as far as its aromatic properties go? And I thought to myself, well, I smell fruity nuances, and I also smell floral nuances, so naturally it would be a fruity floral, right? And I started to smell it more, and I wore it more myself, and then I started to pick up on this note of patchouli. And I think it's the note of patchouli that really reminded me a lot of this fragrance, even though it doesn't smell like it really. But it started to remind me a lot of Angel by Thierry Mugler. Now, of course, Angel and Angel Men both contain a note of caramel, and this fragrance does certainly have a very sweet overtone, as well as the note of patchouli, and I think it's a combination of those 2 notes that really reminded me of Angel. Now, it does have a patchouli note, but unlike Angel, this fragrance doesn't have like a dirty, you know, earthy kind of a patchouli note. It has more of like an herbal, smooth, leafy, even clean, if I can use it, that word to describe it. It has that kind of a patchouli note, which I think works really well in this combination with the other elements in this fragrance. Now, like I said, there is a sweet overtone, and the listed note in the note breakdown is the note of toffee. Now, I'm very familiar with toffee. It's found all over the place in Atlantic City on the boardwalk. It's basically this chewy candy that is made out of sugar or molasses, and then it gets boiled down and they add butter or nuts to it to flavor it. And it basically does have this candy-like presence in the opening, and I think that that works really well with the very distinctive note of pear that this fragrance contains. Now, it does have a pear note that I think envelops the other notes in the composition very beautifully, and I think it's a very youthful smelling fruity nuance that really works in the favor of this composition. But the pear note, I do want to stress, is not a very natural fruity kind of a pear note. It is fruity in the strictest sense of the word, but I think that the pear note in this fragrance does come across as a little bit exaggerated, hyperbolized. It is rather strong. It is tamed down a little bit by the other fruity elements, and they work really well together. But the best way that I can describe it is, as opposed to smelling like a pear fruit, This fragrance smells more like a pear liqueur. I'm sure such a thing exists. I have not ever had any pear liqueur, but I have had peach schnapps. I could only imagine that if there were such a thing as pear schnapps, that this is how it would smell. I think it's a very nice fragrance. I think the sweetness makes it very youthful, very contemporary. I can certainly picture this on a younger crowd, and I definitely like that very young element that it has to it. I think it's a very wearable fragrance. I think it's a little bit more appropriate on a night out or casual wear, but of course you can wear this semi-formally or formally. I just think this is more of a happy, night out, partying kind of a fragrance. I kind of wish my girlfriend would wear this a little bit more often. She really loves her Michael Kors. She loves her Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue, but I'll see what I can do. Alright guys, last up we have the rating. Thanks. First up we have uniqueness and overall smell, and I ended up giving this fragrance a 7 out of 10. Now I do think that this is a very nice smelling fragrance. I think that the intentions of the creators were that they wanted to make a fragrance that would appeal to a younger crowd, and I certainly do think that they were successful in doing so. I do think that the pear note is a little bit too exaggerated, but I like that they went with a note as unconventional as pear. Even though it is used in fragrances, I don't think it's nearly as common as notes like peach or apricot, especially when making a fruity floral fragrance. I do think that this is a little bit misclassified. I don't really see it as a modern chypre. I see it as more of like a fruity floral with some oriental nuances, but nevertheless it is a really nice fragrance. Next up we have longevity, and I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think the longevity on this fragrance is pretty good. It performs really well for a Eau de Parfum. I usually get somewhere between 7 and 9 hours. I ended up giving it a 7. Next up we have projection. I also gave this fragrance a 7. I think that the projection will project about an arm's length for the first 2 to 3 hours. After that it does start to sit a little bit closer to the skin, but it doesn't really become a skin scent at about the 6th or 7th hour of application, which to me is actually pretty good projection. I'll take it. Next up we have versatility. I give this fragrance a 7 out of 10 again. I do think that this is leaning a little bit more toward the feminine side. Of course, if you're a guy and you want to wear this fragrance, I would just recommend that you sample it first before you buy it or before you blind buy it. But I do think that this would work in a number of social scenarios. I think this is more of like a casual, playful type of a fragrance, but if you wish to wear it in a formal or a semi-formal scenario, you can certainly pull it off. I think that this would work a little bit better in the fall and winter. It might become cloying in the summer, especially if it's a very hot day and you over apply. So I would probably limit this to the colder temperatures. And I think that the one thing that really compromises the versatility of this fragrance is the fact that it is geared more toward a younger crowd. I could probably see somebody between the ages of like maybe 16 and 25 wearing this fragrance. It definitely doesn't have too much of a mature feel to it. It's very playful, and just keep that in mind when purchasing or sampling. And then last up we have presentation. I told you guys what I think about that. It's supposed to resemble the Murano glass. I think it's a nice presentation. It's somewhere between chic and kitschy. I can't really make up my mind which one it is, but I do think that the bottle design is memorable. It's different, it is unique, it does stand out a little bit, and the cap clicks into place very nicely. I ended up giving it an 8 out of 10, and then that's going to bring this fragrance to an overall rating of a 7 out of 10. I think it's a nice fragrance. I think it's a great fragrance if you're getting into designer fragrances and you want something that smells sweet, something that the guys are going to like, something inoffensive, something not cloying if you're going to wear it in colder climates, and something that's, for the most part, pretty versatile in terms of social scenarios. So I ended up giving it a 7 out of 10. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. That was my review of Jimmy Choo for Her. If you own or have tried this fragrance, please let me know what you think by leaving a comment down below. Also, please don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe for future videos and frequent giveaways. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to shoot me a message, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. So again, thank you so much for watching. This has been Steven with another fragrance review from Adolescence. See you soon.